Hi, I'm Father Jim Forson, and I'd like to offer you some reflections on this Feast of the Ascension. Several years ago, I got called by the hospital to come and anoint a man who was dying. And that it happens quite often that I'm called by the hospital, and oftentimes when I get to the hospital, I find the person who is ill sometimes, many times, is desperate for life. They want to survive. They want to get better. Maybe they're hoping for a miracle. And sometimes they're in terrible pain. Their family is in anguish. And it's, as you can imagine, it's a tough moment in a lot of people's lives. And when I got to the hospital, I went into this gentleman's room. What was so remarkable was that he was so much at peace. Happily, he wasn't suffering much. But he had no illusions. He was going to be dead within a few days. And what he wanted was to be at peace with God, at peace with God's church, wanted to receive the sacraments and be anointed. And so we prayed together for a little while, and he told me about how he was ready to die, and he wasn't concerned or worried at all, just wanted to be right with God. And I anointed him and then left. And when I got home afterwards, I was thinking to myself, without even realizing it, that gentleman gave me a gift. He had such a peaceful spirit about him that he gave me that peaceful spirit. I mean, I've been with people who are in that moment and they're in terrible turmoil. And what I carry out with me is that terrible turmoil. It's understandable. But not this man. This man was absolutely at peace with his life, now with God and the church and his fate. And he gave me that peaceful spirit. I think that reveals a truth about the Ascension. Jesus, before he died, said to his apostles, I'm going to be leaving now. And it's better for you that I leave so that the Holy Spirit can come upon you. As I live in the Father, and the Father lives in me, so I live in you, as if to say, my spirit lives in you. And after his resurrection, if you remember, he appears to the disciples and he says to them, as he breathes on them, peace be with you. And he breathed the Holy Spirit upon them. That Holy Spirit of God that lived within Jesus is what Jesus breathed upon them, and they received that Holy Spirit, and then they went out into the world, and they began breathing God's Holy Spirit upon all whom they would meet. That's what Jesus expected of his disciples, to pass on his Holy Spirit, the Holy Spirit of God, to the world, and that's what he expects of us too. All of us have received the Holy Spirit. When we were baptized, the priest, deacon baptized us in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And when we received the sacrament of confirmation, the prelate or the priest anointed us and said, receive the Holy Spirit, be sealed with the Holy Spirit. All of us have breathed in, as it were, God's Holy Spirit, and we are called to be able to take that Spirit out into the world. And I guess that really is the question. What sort of spirit am I breathing out into this world? Because I most certainly am breathing out one kind of spirit or another. If I am filled with turmoil, if I'm uncertain of my own life, if I'm frustrated with how things have gone, if I'm feeling really unfulfilled in this life, well, then that's the spirit I breathe out into this world. If there's resentment or anger or all of that ugliness that's inside me, that's the kind of spirit that I'm going to be breathing out into this world. And I think, haven't we all been with people who are like that, whose unhappiness just kind of spills out of them into the world around them? And boy, we don't want to even be around them. It's tough with those kind of people. Their spirit of unhappiness, of discontentedness can be so off-putting, so, I got to get out of here. And the opposite is also true. Haven't we all been with people who are just a joy to be with? They're fun, they're happy people, and their happiness is infectious. We want to be with them. We're breathing in their spirit. Haven't we all been with people who are they're so good? There's just a deep down goodness to them, and a kindness and a compassion. Their spirit is so accepting and forgiving. They breathe that spirit into the world around them. They are breathing the Spirit of God into the world around them. And we are called to do the same, just as the apostles were. You know, in the Acts of the Apostles, in today's readings, we see the ascension of Jesus, and he is ascending up into heaven, and the disciples are all just standing around, staring up into heaven, doing nothing. And two angels come, and they chide the apostles, and they say to them, "Men of Galilee, why are you standing around here, doing nothing? Get busy." Yes, do that which Jesus commanded you to do. Take his Holy Spirit out into this world. And as the angels said that to them, they say it to us. Take the Holy Spirit of God that you have received out into this world. And so, the question that we have to ask ourselves today is, what sort of spirit is within me? What sort of spirit am I breathing out into this world today, right now?